I've always been one of those people that kind of define myself in opposition to money or having money or being rich. I didn't grow up poor. I grew up very comfortable, had this great life provided to me by my parents, upper middle class existence or like solidly middle class, and I'll forever be grateful to them for that. But almost because of the comforts afforded to me by that life and that upbringing, I always said that I didn't want to pursue making money when I got older, that I wasn't interested in getting wealthy. And that's something that was sort of backed up by one of my moms. I have two moms, and both great in their own ways, but one of them, interestingly enough, the one that makes more money actually, is the one who also operates by this ideology and kind of says that she doesn't care about making money, that that's never been her goal, her objective. She's in education and she somehow has managed to make money, but it's not been something that was imprinted on me. And it's also something I've sort of, also just because of political views, I guess, being first a liberal and then a progressive, at times identifying as a socialist. I think I might still identify as that. I am anti-capitalist and against people hoarding or accumulating too much money. I went to college, studied film, wasn't career-minded at all when I was in school. And it's been an interesting journey since then, where I have, over the last several years, kind of changed my stance toward this. Once I've started making a little bit of money and getting my career started, I realized that, number one, being professionally ambitious is really enjoyable and something that motivates me and drives me. And that can be somewhat separate from money, certainly. But inherently in the US, it is tied to making money. And making money is fun also, I've found, and is enjoyable and feels good and can be a worthwhile pursuit. It's just funny how my opinion has kind of fluctuated. I really don't want to be one of those people that like gets more conservative as they get older, that's kind of like a cliche, and something that even that same mom actually, I remember her saying when she was, hitting middle age, when my sister and I were younger, was like, she was not commiserating, but sort of comparing notes with this other family member who she hadn't seen in a while, and said that it's interesting how you get more conservative as you get older. And I think I was actually maybe not that young. I was like 14, and I was like, fuck that. Like, no, that cannot happen to me. We'll see. Maybe I'm 10, 15 years from now, I'm going to be a card-carrying Republican. Like, who's to say? It is crazy. Oh, here we go. Intrusion. Chimney. My thoughts on money were brought to the fore because I saw this movie last night called Materialists. It is the new film by Celine, the Korean-American writer-director who made Past Lives a couple of years ago. That was a 2023 movie that got a ton of acclaim. It's A24 released. It was a big critical darling. Not to be super reductive, but Past Lives is kind of like, if you somewhat know movies, if you're like sort of like surface level film person, like Past Lives might have been like your favorite movie that year. If you know more films, it was kind of like, yeah, this is fine. That's how I felt. I felt like Past Lives was maybe a little too polite. And I also don't know if that's just like my white male Americanness speaking. It was this love triangle film, and everybody was just like too nice in that movie. I kind of felt like everyone was just like tiptoeing around the real emotions that were on the table, I felt like, the whole time, in this way that was kind of ultimately unsatisfying for me. Song's second film, though, I actually liked a lot more, and I don't know if that's going to be a controversial take or not. The film is about to open. It opens Friday, June 13th in theaters everywhere. I would recommend everyone go see it. It's especially a good date movie. It's a thought-provoking date movie. I went with my girlfriend, Mackenzie, and it was a kind of special day for us for reasons I won't share, and that definitely maybe contributed to the mood that we were in, but we both really enjoyed the movie, and I can see it being potentially divisive among audiences and critics. It's kind of caught between two modes, caught between being a low-key indie and a slick mainstream rom-com. It tells the story of Lucy, played by Dakota Johnson. She's a mid-30s matchmaker in New York City, Manhattanite, expert navigator of the commodities of modern society and the way that we commoditize all of our personal traits, aspirations, ambitions, and the way that those are bought and traded in the modern dating scene. Lucy is single, in her mid-30s. She's constantly sort of evaluating other people's worth and whether they would be of value to her high-paying clients, low-key desperately seeking partners. Lucy has a ex-boyfriend played by Chris Evans. His name is John. He's an aspiring actor, a hard-scrabble, working-class guy. He lives in the same apartment that he did when they were in their 20s, pays $850 a month in rent still, but the place is falling apart. He says money and numbers are extremely important to this movie, and that's why, it spurred my thought process there at the beginning. Another number we hear that I did find to be maybe a little, unbelievable is that Lucy makes $80K a year. I kind of feel like to live, we don't really see her apartment actually, not that well. We see other people's apartments, especially her two main love interests, in a much more concrete way, but we don't really get to glimpse hers. But I just don't really believe that she leads the lifestyle she does, or that this organization she works at, where she has been able to successfully marry 9 different couples. 9 of her clients have married the person that she set them up with, and she's rising through the company. But I don't know, maybe that moment was supposed to be her fibbing a little bit to the person she's talking to, but I didn't really believe 80K. But it does kind of speak also to this divide that I'm talking about, and I'll get to that in a second, but to finish off the just brief plot description of the movie, Lucy's sort of still in contact with John. She runs into him. He's cater-waitering this wedding party that she is attending because she set up the bride and groom. At this party, she also, where Evans brings her favorite beverage duo of a bottled Coke and a beer, like a half glass of beer too. It was sort of strangely filled, I found. She meets also this millionaire played by Pedro Pascal, whose name is Harry in the film. And he's this suave, private equity working guy who is fairly bland, but he's got dough, basically. He has this little bit of repartee with her. He confidently seeks her out. The way that he acts is sort of perfectly scripted, in that he's just the right exact amount of pushy, I guess. Whereas in the rom-coms of calling this a romantic comedy is maybe iffy. I was actually talking to Mackenzie about that. It's maybe just more of a romance, even though there are funny moments. There were multiple times that we both laughed out loud. The theater was sort of consistently laughing. But in the romances or in rom-coms of each era, you can sort of see what level of aggression was kind of acceptable for a man, I think, to enact. And what is interesting here is that for our era, Pascal is being the perfect level of firm, but not too pushy. He knows exactly how confident to be, exactly where to set his intentions out for everyone to understand. Johnson sort of gives him her card saying he would make a great fit for some of their clients, and then he says, I'll call you, but I'm not going to call you for work. And, he just has this exact amount of confidence that is very attractive. And so basically the film, like Past Lives is a love triangle of sorts, or Johnson trying to figure out what her relationships are with these two men who both are extremely interested in her. And that's basically the plot of the movie. And also sort of following her professional development at this company, why she's good at her job, because she is very good at her job. It is a very fun movie for people who like to see a person who's good at their job and kind of slickly, confidently moving through their professional world. It's great for that. And that brings me to sort of one of the main points of comparison, I think, for the film, The Devil Wears Prada. The movie is sort of The Devil Wears Prada meets Past Lives, in that it is this love triangle like Past Lives. It is this sort of very low-key movie in many ways. It's quiet. It has these long takes to it. The camera doesn't cut for a while. It'll just be a scene with two people talking, and it doesn't cut between close-ups of the two people. It just holds on the two people at the table for a while, or in other setups as well. And I love that filmmaking choice. I think Song, who was a former playwright, she's becoming a more confident filmmaker, and her filmmaking chops here are enjoyable. The film is also shot on 35mm film. It looks good. It has this burnished, earthen quality to it that actually picks up all of Chris Evans' features in a great way. He looks great in the movie. Film is kind of a cross between those elements from past lives, but then it is also this like New York City set, professional world, women being awesome at their jobs film that begins with this snappy pop song. It's a great... Thank you, Lampshade. It begins with Manhattan by Cat Power, which is a great song. Secret life. Just like Devil Wears Prada began with Suddenly I See by KT Tunstall. You can never forget that. If you were 10 years old when that movie came out, like I was, it's probably one of the films I've seen the most. It's such an enjoyable film, so snappily written. Materialists is really well written too. I love the title, actually. I love that it's called Materialists, but it hits these sort of notes of commodity and value. The word value, like, take a shot every time that word is said in the movie and you will be drunk. It's... And even materialism or materialist is said a lot in the movie. And I do think the script kind of hits those themes a little too hard and kind of underlining them. And there is a lot of speechifying in the movie also, like a lot of long speeches, probably just like one or two too many. Because I do love a good rom-com speech or a good speech where a character just can kind of dress someone down or like has this exacting read of the situation. You know, funnily enough, it's actually kind of similar now that I'm thinking about it to Song's partner wrote, they're both upset, they must be an open couple or have had threesomes or sort of love triangles in their relationship because her partner wrote Challengers last year, another celebrated love triangle film, and that movie has a lot of that speechifying actually. It has a lot of that, like, each character has this just, especially Josh O'Connor's character has these like exacting reads of everyone and can just sort of psychoanalyze them so precisely. And I do find it gets a little annoying in Challengers, actually. Sorry, hot take. I don't love Challengers. It's okay. It's an enjoyable movie. Materialist has a bit of that, like, speech and characters who know everything about one another thing about it as well, but it's mostly fun. The other comparison I would make, it's kind of 27 Dresses meets Take This Waltz. 27 Dresses, I believe 2008 or 7, rom-com featuring Katherine Heigl. She's hopelessly in love with her boss, and there is this sort of cynical reporter in it who doesn't ever think that he's gonna settle down, which is kind of akin to the Dakota Johnson role here. And I do like that about Materialists, is that gender-wise it kind of flips the character who you would think is gonna be the hopeless romantic versus the cynic. You know, often in these films, going way back to like the 1930s or 40s, the cynical, hard-bitten one that has to be softened is the man, and the hopeless romantic is the woman. And here, if that's the opposite in terms of Chris Evans and Dakota Johnson. Chris Evans, I think this is his best performance ever. I'm very tired of him playing these smart, when he's not in Marvel trash, playing these smarmy asshole characters. Like, he's almost too punchable. Like, I just hate that person in Knives Out or even in Scott Pilgrim, a movie I love. Here he's so winning, so charming, so attractive. This is the most natural I've seen him in a long time. I think he should keep working with Celine Song if he can. She should find him some other parts because her direction of him is so fantastic. He's so at ease and he's not trying too hard. I really enjoyed him. If we're talking about the other man in the film, you know, I was just saying to my friend Andrew that someone needs to show me that Pedro Pascal can act because I don't really believe it, and I still don't believe it after this movie. You know, Mackenzie and I were talking after, and she was sort of saying, well, maybe, you know, he's supposed to be this mid-average dude in terms of personality and just sort of unexciting, and that's part of the character and part of the point. But I don't think he even plays that well. He's so flat. He has so little allure. Like, he has negative allure. Like, it is the first date scene between him and Dakota Johnson, not at the wedding. Like, that one's a little bit better, but the first date scene, I'm like, why would you go on a, like, no matter how rich this guy is, I don't know why anyone would go on a date with him. He literally is just, he just, like, recedes into the sweater that he's wearing, which is already boring. She says he knows how to dress, and it's like a very boring knowing how to dress, in my opinion. He's one of those actors that, please stay on TV. Like, you're a TV actor. I don't watch that much TV. I've never seen The Last of Us. I've only seen a little Game of Thrones, which he was also on, and I didn't see him on it. He's not meant for the silver screen. I'm sorry. Pedro Pascal, it's not happening. But ultimately, I think this movie might be as confused, or at least as ambiguous about money as I am. Johnson's boss says at one point, they give about the clients, they give us thousands of dollars, they're entitled to some regression, because Johnson says that her clients are children. And that feels kind of like the movie saying that money does buy you in the world this ability to be immature and to not pull your weight as an adult. And maybe the movie isn't saying that that's deserved, but that does happen. But then with the ending of the film, and I won't give it away fully, I just don't feel like the movie really is able to commit to this depiction of Dakota Johnson's character, Lucy, who throughout she calls herself materialistic, cold, and judgmental toward the end, and she is that. But I don't think the film, it would be more interesting if it could fully commit to depicting her as having those traits. I know that this also is half slick mainstream rom-com, and so it does have to kind of ultimately pay its dues in that genre, but I would have been happier and even more interested in the film if it could fully see through this kind of dislikable character that it had created. I still think everyone should see Materialists, though. It's an enjoyable summer film. I'm so glad they're making romance films for adults now. Okay, now time for today's fit check. We'll keep it brief, maybe. No, I don't think so. I'm wearing this thrifted kind of tank top. It's an interesting texture. Sort of stretchy, like pulley, springy almost. I'm not sure exactly what it's made out of, but yeah, colorful. It's really hard to know what to pair this with, because actually you'd think that this might be black, which would be good for me because I have a lot of black bottoms and just a lot of black in general, but I think it's like a navy blue. Can you see that? So it's a little tough to match with things. So I've worn it with a number of different things before. Here's what I have on today. I've worn it with these before. These are just sort of some classic medium wash jeans that I got for Christmas. I think that they were thrifted as well. They have a stretch to them also. I'm kind of in this stretchy fit. But what if I wore them with these skate shorts? So these are from Vans, and they are like, yeah, down to the knees. I'm wondering with this summer in particular, but also just in general, I really like, you know, short shorts, and I want to continue getting those, and I have some that I'll show on this channel someday, but I'm wondering if for men the longer shorts actually are a cool look. I don't know that these are slim. I don't know that I would want like long and baggy, like if that would look good on my body type. I don't know. It looks good on women, like the longer shorts. I like that look, like long jorts. I see a lot of women wearing that, and it looks good, but I just don't know. I don't know. Does this look good? I'm not sure. Okay, next option. So these are from Urban Outfitters, Don't Judge, and it's kind of this acid wash gray. I kind of like it with this top. I don't know that it's great. It's interesting, I think. I think it like kind of works. The top is a lot. It's hard to match with stuff. And I've worn it before with these short black shorts that I have. I have a picture on my Instagram if anyone's a follower on there. But of course I can't find those shorts today. It's like that Drake Instagram post recently where he had his whole warehouse full of clothes and he's like, now where's that one shirt? Like, yeah, that was me today. I think that's going to be all today, folks. Thanks for joining. And this has been Red to Filth. Peace out.